You have questions,
What is slashing?
we have answers.
Slashing is, like that, you know?
And there's a penalty for that?
Yeah, you do that, you go to the box, 2 minutes by yourself, and you feel shame, and then you get free.
This is CBJ in 30.
Anything you folks want to know about the fascinating world of pro hockey, here we go.
Tweet your questions by using the hashtag CBJIN30.
We'd like to remind you folks, keep your questions within the boundaries of good taste.
Here's your host, Bob McElligott.
And welcome to another edition of CBJ in 30. The Blue Jackets with a day of preparation to get ready for the Toronto Maple Leafs, who will be at Nationwide Arena tomorrow to take on the Blue Jackets. These two teams getting together for the very first time this year. Interesting day already. The Blue Jackets having to make some roster moves and do a little bit of shuffling today. Two players got called up from the Springfield Falcons as two other players went on the injured reserve. Mark Letestu and James Wisniewski are both on injured reserve for the Blue Jackets. And coming up from Springfield, Sean Collins and Jack Skilly was already here. Sean Collins and Brian Gibbons coming up from the Springfield Falcons. So those two guys are here, and the Blue Jackets will look forward to having them in the lineup this weekend, taking on the Maple Leafs tomorrow night. And these are two very good additions, by the way, which I'll tell you about here in just a second. I just want to get their numbers from Springfield. Not that it's not the end of the world what you did in Springfield, but Brian Gibbons, of course, was here during training camp. He got injured, and it took him a while before he was healthy enough, and then he got sent down to Springfield. Sean Collins, he started the year off very nicely there. In 8 games, he has 1 goal and 5 assists for a total of 6 points. 14 shots on goal, as a matter of fact, for him in those 8 games that he has played so far. Brian Gibbons has played 7 games, has a goal and 3 assists, 4 points total. But here's the deal. Brian Gibbons, this is why he was signed. He was signed as being a depth guy, a guy that had a chance to make the club out of training camp and perhaps be with the Blue Jackets on opening night. That didn't work out for him. As I said, he had the injury. Here is his opportunity. And don't forget, this is a guy that last year in the playoffs was playing on the same line as Sidney Crosby. Now he's back in the American Hockey League. What I'm saying is he does have a lot of experience, a lot more experience than some other guys they could have called up from there. He's got speed, and he's getting his chance right now. So Brian Gibbons will come in here. He'll get an opportunity tomorrow night against the Toronto Maple Leafs, and he'll try to make the most of it. Sean Collins, on the other hand, a different kind of player. He's a bigger player, a tougher player, a more physical player. And when I talk to you about the numbers that a guy like Sean Collins has in the American Hockey League, those won't translate into the NHL more than likely because he'll have a different role here. I talk to you about this all the time. There are players that in the American Hockey League are first and second line players. They get to the NHL and they're third and fourth line players. It's a different role. It's you're not getting the same amount of ice time. You're not in the same types of situations. Maybe in the American League, you're getting power play chances. You're not getting power play time in the NHL. It changes the whole scope and perspective of the whole doggone thing. But that doesn't mean that this is not a good call-up because Sean Collins has done this the last couple of years. He has spent some time here with the Blue Jackets. Therefore, he has that NHL experience. And I think in this case, they can use all of the NHL experience that they can get. So for me, you're either going with Sean Collins or you're going with Ryan Craig. And Collins being the winger is the direction that they decided to go. And again, good call-ups. I mean, this is why you have these guys so that you can bring them up in these kind of situations and find out what they're going to be able to do. Now, let's see. Jody Shelley is kind enough to – he's given me a little bit of information about what's going on this morning and the way that the lines are. He said Nick Foligno is skating for the Blue Jackets today. And Sean Collins right now, let me see. You've got Brian Gibbons with Cracknell and Jared Bowl a bit this morning. You've got Hartnell and Johansson and Atkinson together again. Foligno started today with Alexander Wenberg and Jack Skilly. And then you've got Chaput and Dano and Corey Tropp all together out there. That's the way Jody says that they're skating this morning. And I asked if Tim Erickson was on a regular pairing, but he says they're just mixing up the 7 defensemen and rotating them. And maybe that decision's not been made as far as tomorrow night, if it's Tim Erickson or Cody Golubev that goes in to take the spot of James Wisniewski. I told you. I think I told you yesterday I would put Erickson in. I wouldn't hesitate a bit because he's similar, a similar type player. He's offensive upside, runs a power play. I wouldn't even think about it. But I don't coach and I don't make the lineup, so we'll see who winds up going tomorrow night. But it will be interesting. You know, Gibbons, another thing that he brings to the Blue Jackets is even more speed. So again, when you want to be faster and you want to get out of your own end, he's not a bad guy to have on the ice. So we'll see how he performs tomorrow night, getting his chance to skate in a regular season game for the Blue Jackets. So, and hopefully, and Nick Foligno, even though he's skating right now, it's not 100% he's going to be able to go. If he's still a little bit stiff, if he can't take a hit or whatever the case may be, if he ends up out of the lineup, then so be it. Alexander Wenberg going back to the middle. Let's talk about that for a moment. And Aaron Portzline quoted General Manager Jarmo Kekalainen yesterday in the Dispatch blog saying that Alexander would go back to the middle. I think this is just a terrifically smart move. I think it's a no-brainer in some ways, but it's a smart move because here's the deal. When you start the season and everybody's healthy, which not everybody was because Dubinsky wasn't, but if you start the season and you have everybody in place, to me, Alexander Wenberg can be put on the wing. You can put him in that situation where he's not as responsible defensively. You can let him get acclimated to the league, and you can go from there. Kind of let him learn at a gradual pace. You don't have to throw him right into the fire, put him in the middle, and expect him to do everything that number 1, number 2 center in the league should be able to do. That's an unrealistic expectation. And what have we seen from Alexander Wenberg anyway, playing on the wing? When we saw him start off very, very fast and then kind of slow down a little bit, which is natural for a first-year player in this league. You come out with a lot of adrenaline. Nobody knows your tendencies. You go out there, you have good shifts, you have good games, and all of a sudden there's film on you. People start paying more attention to you. You start finding things a little bit more difficult to get done, and you tail off a little bit. That's not a knock on Alexander Wenberg. That's the way it goes in the National Hockey League. So you have to make adjustments as a player. You have to learn to power through that, and you have to learn to overcome, and he will. There's no doubt about that. But they put him on the wing so that he could kind of get gradually acclimated to what was going on. But now I really don't think you have a choice. You don't. I mean, you have a choice. You can put somebody else in the middle, but why? This guy is going to be a centerman in the NHL. If things stack up the way you think that they're going to stack up, he's probably going to eventually wind up being a number 2 centerman behind Ryan Johansson. So you might as well throw him into that role as you sit right now. Why wouldn't you? I would. I'd do it in a heartbeat. To go right down the middle, to go with Ryan Johansson, Alexander Wenberg, then Michael Chaput moving from the 4th line to the 3rd line right now and putting Adam Cracknell on the 4th line. No brainer. That's the easiest adjustment to make in the world, if you ask me. But again, this is Alexander Wenberg's opportunity. He's a natural centerman. That's where he wants to play. That's where he feels most comfortable playing. But he'll go to the wing and he won't say a word about it. He knows what's best for him. Whatever the Blue Jackets deem to be a good progression for him, he knows that's the best. And he's not questioning anything. He's not going to say, hey, coach, I want to go in the middle. I don't want to be playing this wing stuff. Never going to do that. Wouldn't be smart. It wouldn't be smart for 2 reasons. Number one, you'd look like you know more than anybody else knows, and he's not that kind of kid. And number 2, if you get in there and then it doesn't work out, then where are you? You're in big trouble. So you just take it as it comes and you let the game come to you. Well, the game's come to him now in a sense where the Blue Jackets very much need a centerman. They very much need a number 2 centerman. And if that's a role that he's going to have somewhere down the line, well, then because of the injury situation, you don't have the time for the patience. You don't have the time for the development or the overdevelopment or all those things we talk about because there are so many guys out of the lineup. So just put him in there and give him his chance. Give him an opportunity to take the ball and run with it and see what he does. Absolutely great. And I think he'll do well, to be honest with you. I think he'll get back there where he's comfortable. Sure, there's a lot of adjustments he's going to have to make. There's no question. And he's got the Leafs tomorrow. He's got the Devils on Saturday. You've got the Carolina Hurricanes on Tuesday. From that standpoint, maybe this is a good stretch to put him in the middle, to be honest with you. But put him there. See what he can do. It's not like, again, this is not like a couple of years ago where you figure you're going to wind up somewhere in the neighborhood of 27th to 30th in the league. You're still expecting to make the playoffs and have good things happen, and I think all those things will happen. However, because you are so short on bodies, because you have so many lack of options right now, put the kid in there, give him a chance, and that's what they're going to do. And as I said, I think he will. I think he'll embrace the challenge, and I think he'll enjoy the opportunity, and I think he'll make something out of it. That's what I think. We're going to find out starting tomorrow night. But I'm looking forward to watching him play there, because I think whenever, just not in hockey so much, but in life, whenever you're doing something that you're comfortable in doing, you do it better, right? If you're in an uncomfortable situation, it takes you time to adjust and this and that. And then if somebody says, hey, why don't you go over and do that? And you've done that for your whole life. You go, whew, thank goodness. I'm going to go back and do this. So I expect him to do well in that role starting tomorrow night. That's what I think. And that's what the show's kind of about, right? What I think, what you think. So there you go. All right, let's find out what is on your mind at the very least. If we don't find out what you think, let's find out what's on your mind. Here we go. Let's start with Andrew Lively today. With all the injuries lately, who is a player to watch closely that can make an impact? One I just talked about with Alexander Wenberg. Great opportunity to have an impact on his very young career and for the Blue Jackets in general. I think, Brian Gibbons is that other guy because of the experience he brings with him. I think he has a chance here. And he's looking for a foothold in the NHL. He's looking for a team that's going to give him an opportunity that he can grasp, and then they allow him to hold on to that opportunity. That's why he signed here. That's why he left the Pittsburgh organization, because it was obvious that he felt that he got some good looks and some good opportunities, but long-term, he didn't feel like that was going to be a good fit. So that's all he signed here for, was a chance to try to get established somewhere. And we'll find out if tomorrow night is the first step toward getting established on a regular basis here with the Blue Jackets. So those are the two guys that I would pick out for you, Andrew. I would look at those two guys. On defense, whether it's Golubev or Eriksson that goes in, it's really not going to matter, because the other five guys are all established guys, and they're going to play their role to perfection, and that part is going to be fine. Goaltending, Curtis. You can't hang everything on Curtis the other night by any means, because there was so many things going on in front of him. But he'll need to play better than he did against the Ottawa Senators. There's no doubt about that, and I expect that he will. He's a pro, and he will find he'll find a way to gear it up here tomorrow night, I think. Let me see. Blaine Sickles says, "Love and appreciate your show. My question is, will Boone Jenner play center this year?" I don't think so. I don't think so. That was something that was going to happen in training camp because because of the Ryan Johansson situation. It was a chance to put him there. I know that Todd Richards has said that he sees Boone Jenner being a center in this league, but I look at it this way. And I think this is a simple way to look at it personally. If Boone Jenner is going to be a center on this team right now, where's he going to slot in? When everybody's healthy, where would he slot in? Johansson will be the number one guy. Dubinsky will be the number two guy. Then you have Letestu and Chaput, and now Wenberg, depending upon what he does, playing in the middle. There's a lot of guys. So do you want so even at that, all right, let's stop right there. Let's just stop with that. Do you want Boone Jenner being a third-line centerman or top six winger? And that's my opinion. He played so well on the wing last year. He's very comfortable there. Did a great job. I think he's more valuable in that role on this team. Will he play this year? I don't think he will. I just don't think he will. Could be wrong. I don't know. But I think he's more valuable as a winger in your top six. Let's see. Jody says, feels like the fans could join in with the injury reports the way things are going. Paper cut out 2 to 3 days. Be careful how you joke around, Jody. Be careful, because that could happen in a heartbeat. It's like that. You could be out. You could be on the shelf. You never know. Yeah. What's the saying? Never rains, but it pours, right? Courtney Matthews. How do our odds look to pull off a win in tomorrow's game? Wow. Personally, pretty good. You're playing the Toronto Maple Leafs. They're a team that's struggling. They played in Buffalo the other night. They did not play well. There's all of this pressure on their head coach, Randy Carlyle, as to how long he's going to be able to keep his job. You've got Dave Nonis as a GM, but they brought in Brendan Shanahan over the summer to take over the hockey operation. There's a lot of balls in the air in Toronto right now. A lot of things going on. A lot of guys trying to jockey for position. And, but you've got to go out and play the game, and they do have good players. And Phil Kessel, first and foremost, amongst those players, because they do have talent. They're not, you don't look at them and just brush them off, but they are a beatable team. There's no question about that. And they have some issues right now. So you have to take advantage of that. So I think because of those things, it puts the Blue Jackets, when you ask about the odds of winning, I think they're pretty good, because even though you're hurt, and I think I think other teams tend to, they'll say, well, we're not going to think about all the guys they don't have in their lineup. We're not going to think they're any weaker because they still have good players over there. They're going to tell you that. That's all you're going to hear. That's everything that the Toronto Maple Leafs and the New Jersey Devils, and until everybody comes back into the lineup, no matter what the opposing teams say, they're all going to say it. But in their mind, you know what they're thinking. They've got like 8 guys out of their lineup. This should be an easy one. This is one we have to win, because they don't have all their guys. And sometimes, especially when you're on the road, you have to guard against that attitude. You have to watch that you don't play the game with that same kind of an attitude, because when you do, you wind up losing the game. So the Blue Jackets have to use that to their advantage. And again, guys like Brian Gibbons and Sean Collins and Tim Erickson and Alexander Wenberg and Adam Cracknell and Jared Bold and Corey Trop and everybody that's going to get extra ice time, everybody that's going to be moving up in the lineup, everybody that's going to be getting special teams play that may not normally get special teams play, all of those guys have to look and say, here's my chance. Here is my chance, and I'm going to make the most of this chance. If all of those guys have the mindset of making the most out of their chance, and they all move in that direction at the same time, do I have to say any more? That would be a very, very positive thing, and really put you at an advantage, especially on home ice, in my opinion. So that's what the Blue Jackets mindset has got to be. It's just about, it's almost as though they can't, how they always say, they always say, I can't just worry, we have to worry about our game. Well, a lot of those individual guys have to worry about their game. But if they worry about their game, and if they play the way they need to play, it'll mesh with all the other guys that are playing the way that they need to play, and then it'll be fine. All right, let's see. Dennis Kelly, the second. Will you be going to tomorrow's game? Dennis, please tell me that part is a rhetorical question. Please tell me that part is somewhat tongue-in-cheek. Please tell me you don't expect me to end up injured before tomorrow. Yes, I will be going to tomorrow's game. And Dennis says, if so, are you going in costume? Well, probably not. As much as I would like to, and as fun as it would be. But, right after the game tomorrow, I have to get on a plane and go to New Jersey. Although I could dress up in some kind of costume that I could come off the plane in New Jersey and look right in place. Right? Well, let's see. I'm already wearing a suit. What can I throw on to look in place? A fedora? I don't know. Go old school? I don't know. But no, probably not. I don't know. The fun factor is so gone out of it for me. It shouldn't, but I guess it has. You're working, and when I show up in a clown costume, would they really appreciate that? Probably not. Some would argue I show up in a clown costume every day, but I don't know. So, Dennis, that's not really in the plans. But you know what they say about plans. Plans change. So we shall see. Where did I show up one time? This was in the minor leagues. Oh, we were in San Antonio. And there is a guy, Joe Domini was his name. He was a radio guy there. He showed up, and I hope I'm remembering this correctly, and it was Joe, but I'm 98% certain it was him. He showed up for the game wearing a Dalmatian costume. I mean, an adult costume, right? But this Dalmatian with his face painted white with black dots on it to match the costume. And I'm like, seriously? You're going to do the game like that? He did, and nobody cared. It's minor leagues, but I just thought that was a very interesting choice to have this big, heavy dog costume on and do the entire game. Well, it wasn't like he was doing TV, I guess, but it was unique, obviously, because I didn't forget about it. Or just like everything else, I didn't know I hadn't forgot about it until your question, Dennis, because it just triggered the old mind here. That's how it is. It's all in there somewhere. Just need a trigger point to bring it out. And sometimes what comes out even surprises me, to be completely honest with you. Oh, let me see. Next one here. Well, Brandon McElroy, I'm glad you like the answer to that question. But it's true. I can't believe I had forgotten about that. Maybe I should do something like that. I don't even know what I would be. All right, if you have a suggestion what I should dress up as, go send it. Because I don't know. I haven't thought about it. I don't know. Somebody asked me about Movember. And are you going to grow a mustache? Because that'll be the next thing on the horizon for everybody in hockey. And you know what? I did last year, and it just was so I don't know. I looked like I could have starred on the original Starsky and Hutch. As what? I'm not sure. I don't know if I would have been another detective in the squad room or if I would have been, the guy on the street they were chasing. Not sure. So I'm just I'm so conflicted this year. Too much going on in my head. I don't know. So any suggestions you have, help me out. I mean, that's what you're here for, right? Aren't you here to help me? What does Jerry Maguire? See? Help me, help you. Help me, help you. Help you, help me. Oh, let's see. Should the power play be worked on? Is that another rhetorical question? Come on, guys. Seems like it isn't going too well. Yes, it should be worked on. I'm only laughing because you go 1 for 6 last time. Yeah, you got to work on it. But here's the thing about the power play. In all fairness, come on, let's be honest about this. To be honest, look at the personnel you have on the power play. You've got the top unit with Johansson and Hartnell and blank, whoever's healthy on any given day. So you still don't have all your best players available for your power play. So that's going to make it a challenge to begin with. But they had great looks in the last game. Robin Leonard was the difference. The old one of the 1 billion hockey cliches, the goalie has to be your best penalty killer. Robin Leonard was for the Ottawa Senators the other night. So, that would help if you faced a goalie that was having trouble stopping shots. That would help tremendously in any scenario, even strength, shorthanded, power play. Let's see. Bunk Tuesday, my buddy Bunk Tuesday. He gets up early in Western Canada to watch this show, and I appreciate that. I can't tell him how much I appreciate that. Oh, wait, I just did. He says, since you already be in a suit, how about dress up as Dracula? Does Dracula wear a suit? Or are you saying, well, if there's any lawyers out there, I don't want to offend anybody. Dracula doesn't wear a suit. He wears a cape. Oh, I guess kind of a kind of a tux without a tie thing, right? And so, but that's an oldie but goodie kind of a costume, right? I don't know. I don't like to be thought of as a bloodsucker, you know. Not sure. Although I know vampires are the craze. Or are they still the craze? I don't know. That Twilight stuff, is that still going on? I have no idea. You know what? I'll be honest with you. This is old here. From the Fuddy Duddy Diaries here. I went into a Halloween shop the other day, and I'm looking around there, and I thought Halloween was fun when I was a kid, and it was trick or treating, but it was not nearly as gory as the stuff they have now, right? Am I wrong on that? Like late 70s, 80s, was it as gory as it is now? There's no way. There's no way. Although they have some neat stuff out there. Have you gone into a Halloween store and walked around in any of these places that have these displays that kind of jump out at you, whether it's a spider or a zombie or whatever it is, and they set them up to display them, and there's a little plate on the floor where it'll say step here. How fun is it to go in one of those stores and find a way when there's someone standing near the thing that you know is going to jump out and sneak your foot over there and hit that thing without them seeing and watch it scare the life out of them when it jumps out? Am I the only one that likes to go into those stores and do that kind of stuff? Am I the only one that did that to like a 12-year-old kid the other day, allegedly? This big spider jumping out. Those are great. I just don't remember it. I just don't remember it being that gory. I don't. Oh, Tyler Pavelka. Tyler? I think you skipped my question unless it was on purpose. Really? I didn't. Look, I get lost in all this stuff sometimes, Tyler. What is your question? If the Blue Jackets have one weakness that won't allow them to win the Stanley Cup, what is it? Or a strength that will let them? The weakness is injuries. The weakness is, not having the same lineup constantly enough. That's my answer now. I could probably answer you differently by Valentine's Day on that. The strength that will let them is simply their total teamwork, to be honest with you. Total teamwork. If this team's going to win, and if it's going to go far, it's going to be with everybody pulling his weight. Simple as that. So, Tyler, I see that little frown face that you sent. Turn that frown upside down because I've answered your question. I didn't skip it on purpose. Now I interrupted my own fun rant on Halloween stores. One more thing before I go today. Last night, another horrible call made in the National Hockey League. Terrible. Absolutely terrible. You go back last week to San Jose, week from today, or a week ago today. That's correct. That's good English. You go back in the disallowed goal the Blue Jackets had with a little over a minute left in regulation time because Nick Foligno interfered with the goalie. And then you looked at the replay, and it was Joe Thornton falling on Anthony Niemi. It wasn't Nick Foligno. So, last night, Washington, Detroit. Braden Holtby playing a goal for the Washington Capitals. Puck is dumped around behind the net. Holtby comes out of the net. He goes over to play the puck. Plays the puck away. He's coming back to the net, catches an edge, and trips and falls. They call Luke Glendening for goaltender interference. Luke Glendening was at least 5 feet away from Braden Holtby, never touched him. Now, I have two issues with this. Issue number one, the referee that made the call was in the neutral zone. Why is it that the guy that is so far away makes the call so many times? I don't understand that. Why is there a guy standing right on top of the play, doesn't make the call, and the guy way over there makes the call? I don't get that. Anyway, so he trips and falls. Detroit shoots the puck. It goes in the net. Wave it off. no goal, penalty. You go look at the replay, he's 5 feet away. Never touched him. Blown call. Terrible. Now, it didn't affect the outcome of the game. Washington found a way to lose. Anyway. So, but the point is not it having an effect on the outcome of the game. The point is, when are they going to do coaches' challenges? I don't get this. I do not understand this. I told you last week with a play like the Foligno non-goaltender interference, that's when these things come up and the pressure starts on them. What is it going to take to get a coach's challenge on these things? That's all they need to do. Now, I don't know how you do it beyond that. Like the puck goes in the net in this particular play last night. So I don't know if you can come back and say, yeah, it's a good goal. You should be able to. Look, the NFL has coaches' challenges. They've been doing it for years. Baseball went to managers' challenges this year. Everybody was worried that a baseball game was going to take too long. Well, a baseball game already takes too long. I hate to tell you. But I don't think it really had that big. I did not avoid watching a Major League Baseball game because I thought it might take too long because they have challenges or replays or any of that stuff. As a matter of fact, some games I watched, they went to replay, and I was like, whoo, thank God they have a replay. That guy would have been out at second base, and he was safe. I don't think a fan has a problem with the game taking a little bit longer to get it right. Because let me ask you something. What's the average length of a hockey game? 2 hours and 38 minutes? That's a number I always throw out there. I don't even know if it's true. But let's be honest. It's less than 3 hours. Don't you want to see them get it right? Don't you want to see it being played out fairly? Don't you want to see the teams get the chances they deserve and not have them taken away? Coach's challenge. It's very easy. It's very easy. Toss a beanbag, yell for the ref. I don't care how they do it. Raise a big red flag on the bench. Doesn't matter to me how they do it. Just do it. This has got to be talked about. This is ridiculous. It's a no-brainer. Everybody else is doing it. And in some cases, that's called peer pressure. In this case, it's called common sense. Get it right. This game moves faster than any other game. You got to tell me baseball moves faster than hockey? Not a chance. And they've put the replay in. Sometimes it's impossible. Like these guys making these calls, I don't even fault them half the time. I don't. It's moving so fast. They're screened. That guy in the neutral zone that made the call, he may have seen it from an angle where it looked like there was contact, but he was so far away, he didn't realize there was a gap between the players. Okay, fine. You made a mistake. It's not a big deal. Just go fix it. Throw a flag. Fix it. That's all we ask. Adam Proto has a nice write-up today in the Hockey News, if you check that out, about that situation last night. And I agree. It's time. Just quit screwing around. Just quit screwing around with this. Get it right. You already have some replay involved in the game, so don't give me your purist angle on it and say you can't do that because it affects the purity of the game. No, you already have some replay. Put more in to get it right. That's all. So simple. Should be done this afternoon. And why they get bogged down every time they go to vote on this stuff, I do not understand. Just like overtime. They get bogged down in trying to stop games from going to shootouts. They can't do the 3-on-3. They go, well, you know what? Before we do that, let's just change sides in overtime and make it a longer change to the bench. Come on. Be a little bit more innovative. Just do it. It's an old slogan, I know, but just do it. Quit screwing around. Quit wasting our time. This is where you're eventually going to end up anyway. So just get there. When you're going to grandma's house, when you're a kid, did you want to take the long way or did you just want to get there? Same thing. This is where you're going to wind up. So let's just get there. Weird analogy, wasn't it? Yeah. All right. Well, let's see. I think that's going to do it for today. Tomorrow, we're supposed to do the morning skate live at 10 o'clock, which would mean we're not going to do this show tomorrow. So that's a programming note. That's what we call it in the business, a programming note. 10 o'clock tomorrow, morning skate, Blue Jackets, Toronto Maple Leafs at Nationwide Arena. And this show returns Monday. Game Friday and Saturday. Leafs at home tomorrow. In New Jersey on Saturday. Back at home for a Tuesday game. I said this the other night, and if I said it yesterday, I apologize for repeating myself. But I like the way this schedule sets up, playing New Jersey on Saturday. You know why? Well, lucky for you, I'm going to tell you why. Because I'm glad it has Jersey on Saturday and not on Friday. Because I have no interest in playing the New Jersey Devils. I don't have the interest in playing any Devils on Halloween. But I feel that you can get an advantage playing the Devils on All Saints Day. Personal perspective. Maybe I'm right, maybe I'm wrong. You know how we'll find out? When they play the games. Tomorrow morning, 10 o'clock, Morning Skate Live. Tomorrow night, 7 o'clock, Blue Jackets, Maple Leafs. Going to be a great weekend. Happy Halloween. Talk to you soon.
I'll talk to you later. Don't want to hear it again tonight. I'll talk to you later. Just save it for another guy. I'll talk to you later. Don't want to hear it again tonight. I'll just see you around.